Hello, my name is Sarah Jones, and this is my field observation summary for my Education 202 class. I observed Lacey Wonder's 5th grade classroom at Nampa Christian Elementary School, which is located off Orchard. I observed on Tuesdays from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And Mrs. Wonder's classroom was actually in a pod, which was connected to another 5th grade classroom taught by Gracie Nelson. And in the afternoons, I would actually go to Mrs. Nelson's classroom and watch her teach history, since that is one of my favorite subjects. So let's dive into some summary questions. What surprised you the most in your observations and why? I think the most surprising thing for me was the practice of religion in a private school. I could not believe the difference between the private and public school. I had observed a public school last semester, and it had such a sharp contrast compared to Nampa Christian. When I walked into Nampa Christian, there was pictures of Jesus everywhere. And it just so happened on the days that I was observing were chapel days, so all the classrooms would meet in the gym together. I was shocked to see all the kids worshiping God. Back in the classroom, Mrs. Wonder always brought God into her lessons. I also talked to some of the teachers about Common Core affecting them since they were a private Christian school. It was very interesting. I think it was so shocking just because we hear so much in the news about taking religion out of schools. So to see a school that was embracing religion was so interesting to me. It was also really neat to see. Another surprising thing was students moving about in the classroom. While Mrs. Wonder was teaching a lesson, the kids would move around. They would stand up while doing homework. And I learned through this that a kid will focus more on sitting still than listening to the lesson. So if you allow a kid to move during a lesson, he or she will focus on the lesson. What practice from your experience would you want to embrace when you become a teacher? I would say humor, authority, and respect. Mrs. Wonder had the most amazing presence in her classroom. She would joke, which captured the kids' attention, yet they gave her the highest, utmost respect. And I think I would want to embrace just how she handled the classroom, being humorous yet authoritative. And I actually asked Mrs. Wonder, do you have to have a strong, authoritative voice to be a teacher? Because I don't feel like I have one. And she replied in the most amazing answer I have ever heard. She said that she has heard from other teachers that a teacher who yells at their students when they're being disciplined, it actually shut the kids down. Like they lean back and they stop listening to what the teacher has to say. But as a teacher, when you discipline your students, if you whisper, the students will lean in. They will listen, trying to hear what you have to say and why they're being corrected. I thought that was a really neat answer. What was the classroom management like, and how would you do it differently or the same? I loved Mrs. Wonder's classroom setup. She had the desks paired together and facing the head of the classroom. When there was maybe a discussion time, they would move the desks into a circle to have discussion. But just how the classroom was managed, how it was set up, I felt like it was set up in a very effective way. She always had the kids' attention. She was constantly walking around, looking at the kids, circling the classroom, and she just had complete control of her classroom because of that. And I think it was super neat to see that. And I think I would want to have the same setup. Another really interesting thing is Mrs. Nelson, who taught the history. Her classroom was set up in a very different way. She had desks in the corner, she had desks in the center of the room, she had desks everywhere, and the classroom was set up in very bright colors, which was really interesting. And I talked to Mrs. Nelson about it and the differences between the classrooms and everything, and she said that, she had to come to a place where she wasn't comparing herself to other teachers or their classrooms, but she said, each teacher is different. They're unique. and she said she has had to learn how to embrace her style. It's a different teaching style, and the kids, they learn in different styles as well. And so she said, this is how some of the kids operate, and this is how she operates. So it was so neat to see the different classrooms. They were both very effective, and it was neat to see teachers who were embracing their styles. What was your favorite part of your field experience? I would just say seeing amazing classroom management and gleaning from the wisdom of Mrs. Wonder and Mrs. Nelson. I had an amazing observation time. Thank you.